Hello and welcome, and it is Saturday. The date is Crypto Day, day number 26 for month number 5 for year number 2018. And the general base of cryptos is very much shown within this chart. As we ended 2016 and had a few months into 2015, cryptos generally declining against Bitcoin. ZEC no exception, for it just fell like a waterfall at the end of 2016 and the first few months of 2017. And then something happened very early March. Cryptos went up into about the middle of June. Into June of 2017, falling all the way until about the second week or first week of December, rallying until about sometime into January. They've been going down ever since, although at the start of April, the markets attempted a rally higher. It's not looking good to succeed, but it hasn't failed yet. So that's the story of the timing for this. On ZEC, this bottoms on February the 24th. It did so early. This thing broke out earlier than most, but only by a bit. This thing has a top at May 23rd, but it tops again in the middle of June like the markets collectively did. And there were nice up and down swings along the way, like this September push. I think that was common with a lot of the other markets. But this falls all the way to December the 6th. And all the cryptos space go up. It didn't matter what you held. It was all going higher. Lots of great profit potentials. And then around January 15th-ish, January 10th. What's this date in here? Well, you have a move January 14th. The fact that it broke above this, I guess this is a talk about after a top, what you usually get is a test of a level. Usually you make a lower high. Sometimes you'll match it and rarely you'll break it. So this is the rarely you'll break. For a lot of the markets, when you had this move come up, would have made a lower high to its January ones. ZEC did not, but it did proceed to go lower. And as stated, some around April Fool's Day. It's either going to be the April Fool's Day rally or it's going to be the real one. For the market's been going higher. Now with ZEC, it had something different for most coins. It had a fantastic gain, a fantastic one. That's not with the other markets, but its overall marketplace is that it's had this big high, this big low. These Fibonacci lines are just 23.6, 38, 61, and 76.4. So it hasn't managed to break out above the 38.2 and hold above. It's gotten above it, but that's about it. It hasn't tested the 61.8 yet. It's had lots of this correctionary move within the 23.6. And is this ready to chop back down there? A lot of indecision, because I can say, how many higher lows can I count? 1, 2, 3. How many lower highs? Quite a few. When I look at this on the very short-term time frame, like the hourly chart, here's a spot where I'm very cautious right now about this market as it's reaching this 18 average of highs because of this level of support in here. Also look at this resistance from May the 25th area. This is about 387. That was the general area of this support. So I see this thing most likely looking to break down. I also look at my portfolio. I see ZEC is about 3.5 times higher than my normal minimum share, and it's better than double worth of a 2-unit play. I also have a very low percentage of hedge or short bets against the or with the US dollar or for Bitcoin to go down. And when I look at this chart next against the US dollar tether, and if Bitcoin's going to go down to 6,000 and test the highs from last summer, well, that to me would be the area I would think it would go to. So I'm going to sell a little bit of it, what I have, but not where I'm still trading it. But that just means that my very low exposure to shorting the market is increased, and it's still very, very low. It's unfortunate because when you're playing a game where you're using the TUSD or the USDT, then you're counting on the exchange that code's going to work, and the exchanges you're trading with to not mess around with your funds. Now, either way, whether I'm playing USDT or ZEC on an exchange, it doesn't make a difference, I don't think. But I am a little concerned playing a lot of those fiat currency funds. But generally speaking, it really is part of the risk versus reward in the place. But if you bet something to go down at 278 to come in here, pretty decent game, but again, it'll be small exposure for me. Let's move on next to VIA. And when I think of VIA, I think of a train, because that's a trade I've rode several times in my life before, via rail, but so be it. Let's take a look at this from its 3-day chart would be better, I think. So this was going down from the outset, but this has been around for quite some time. It bottomed in 2016. But notice what happens in March. This is the bottom, March the 5th. Interesting. The top, June. Oh, you don't say. Okay. The bottom. Oh, early December. Again, you don't say. Oh, what was this top here? Oh, January 10th-ish. Oh, you don't say. By chance, was this low near April the 1st? Yes. Yes, it broke out at around April the 1st, yes. Oh, okay. See, this is the typical ideal thing here. So now it's trying to say, is this a whatever rally attempt? Because it's not that big of a gain. It's not that long. Not like the two rallies from before, both at the in December. The December rallies and the spring rallies. I guess that's the best way of talking about it. But the whole point of me bringing those 2 points up, I expect for me to say this again. I don't know if it'll be starting in July, August, maybe it'll be the winter rallies, the fall rally, or whatever. I'm expecting where it really doesn't matter what crypto you hold, the gains are going to be festive. And maybe when I say festive, it'll be over Christmas again. I don't know. But until that happens, these things can easily go down. And we look at this on a daily chart. What do we see here? Support. May the 11th. And then it rallies. Back down again on May the 23rd. It rallies intraday. May 23rd, we can see there's the intraday rally coming back to the 18. Red candle falling below it. And this move in here is showing a lot of weakness. A lot of weakness. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing ends up making a move either, as in the most bullish case, come back to test about the 195 mark. Let's move on to core. For this is just chopping up and down. When it all comes down to it, just like when all the cryptos fell from June to the end of the year to December last year, if they're all going to fall again, they're all going to fall again. Domino effect. If they're all going to rally starting tomorrow or 3 days from now, they're all going to rally. Even if you got the most bearish of setups right now, it doesn't matter. That's just the way the name of the game is being played right now. But as far as trying to find targets, this is this rally that has already came back to the slower end on this daily for core. That's weak. The 18 didn't hold. It did not hold. So now we have to start talking about going back to where we came from at 27 and the Fibonacci line where we came from in 2017 at the 20.17 handle. Let's take a look at a few other coins. Dash. Okay. This 59 number was resisted. And this is Fibonacci within this sideways range. So there's a 23.6 number, but it's pretty much right here. So levels of support, I see 44. Then below that at around 35. And then big support between the 192 handle and the 278. This is big support if it does it, because this would be now starting to erase the gains in which it had in February. Dash was the early indicator last year for the March move. It was around February 22nd-ish last year when I got into trading. And there was almost every code was in a major bear market state. And if you're looking for something that's just going to break out now, there wasn't any of that. But Dash on February 22nd-ish was something that was like, this is something I got to take serious. What did it look like then? It looks something like this. So it was like, yeah, this was looking nice. But it started rallying from around Christmas last year. It was already at more than double, and its gain was just phenomenal. But obviously, since that point, it has managed to hold roughly around this 40-ish so number. It has pierced all the way down to 350. But if it does happen to fill a lot of this empty space, to me it does look as if somewhere around here would be the case. So therefore, this thing is in a sideways obvious range between that of the 419 handle with a little bit of support below, up to about the 925 with a little bit of resistance above. And if it's in that, it's basically neutral from an amazing gain. Breaking above it would be extending, and the gains would get even better, of course. But when you break a level that's been supported in range like this for quite some time, you should never be surprised to see large red candles down, or several in a row, maybe 9 out of 10. But more so, the numbers game to come back to an area like this, the 190 to 200 level, which would be a decline right now of about 60% priced in Bitcoin if something were to be the case. Let's take a look at this against the tether. And we look at the volatility, 1600 down to 285. Up to 528, down to 337. 3-day time frame. You go from $8 up to 1400. So the volatility, when I see this happening and I look at this now, am I surprised if this goes down to, like, say, 100? Not really. No, not really. Am I surprised to see this, say, go up to 1600 again? And maybe much higher? Well, not really again, no. And I think a lot of this is going to come down to Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is ready to move, then so will Dash. But again, if Bitcoin is going to go down to 3,000, where would Dash go down to? You got to think that it's going to do worse than percentage loss than Bitcoin would. So just around here would be about the same percentage move as Bitcoin. So to think that this is safe from not going to like 110, 100 even, it could most certainly do something like that. Let's move on to the next code. And we'll look at Monero on the daily chart, which has now been flirting around with the 18 lows while developing major support. That's the daily chart. Looking at this on the hour, we can see the consistent amount of lower highs that have been in place. If it's going to make a decent rally to continue its trend, it's going to come up to about 226 and change, which would still be lower than this. But this level of support here at 219 down to about 216 and change. If it gets taken down, as we can see, as this is just riding this 18, it should have a decent move. Now, it's already broken down below this support. It hasn't had a big move since, though. But it's also just letting you know that that big move is still in place. So definitely A move going down to this 160 handle would not surprise me. So everything's sounding very bearish. And generally, it actually is. There's not much more to say about it. But as I talk about time frames, timelines events, that's always how it's going to work, especially when all the coins together work in harmony. Oh, from this period, it all goes up, it all goes down, it all goes sideways. It all corrects this way within a period of time. Everything all failed at this time. Everything all went massive at this time. And as long as this game continues, again, I'll be stating maybe later on that we'll have a big rally, say maybe in October or November, or unfortunately it might even have to be 2019. But it could be the case of just the tremendous down year, maybe a big downfall in the summer. Whenever the time frame happens, if Bitcoin goes to 3, I'll just work the name towards such. But alright, I'm going to finish off this video. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.